Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the pleasure to bring on my friend, Graphic Raider of OLV Raiders Network. We're going to talk a little Chiefs-Raiders before their matchup at Arrowhead Stadium this Sunday. Should be a good one. This is the Chiefs' second divisional matchup this year. First one didn't go so well, so they hope to bounce back after, losing that opener to the Chargers. But I want to get a Raiders fan perspective on this game. How are you feeling, coming into Arrowhead with a team that has kind of started off their season rocky, starting, 2-4? I mean, are you looking at this game like it's a must-win game for the Raiders?
Oh, it's definitely a must-win game. I mean, we've struggled all season long. Week 1 was a big win. We went far east, played the New England Patriots, and they're playing some really good football right now. I don't know how we escaped with that victory, but since then, Geno has looked really, really bad, bro. And coming off a big dub, Tennessee Titans at home once again. They're one of the worst teams in football, but you do face whoever's in front of you. This would be a major, major victory if we can somehow, some way pull the rabbit out of the hat in Kansas City. I'm always optimistic about divisional games, but we are catching you guys at a really, really bad time right now. You guys are really, the trajectory of this team is going up. Offensively, it looks like you guys have figured it out. And now with Rice back on the menu, man, no pun intended, I'm very afraid for my defense. But once again, it's a divisional game. It can always go either way. I think that you guys definitely have the home crowd. That's going to be big for you guys. And we'll see, man. We'll see. I've always loved watching Max and Patrick Mahomes play against each other, man. The competitive nature, they love each other. They definitely dap each other up after every game, after they try to kill each other on that football field. But I'm excited, man. You never know. Hey, once again, I'll tell you who I have winning this game, but it can go either way.
Sure. And listen, divisional games between these two have always been close. I mean, last year, the Raiders would have beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead if your center could have snapped the ball. I mean, that was we talked about that, but I feel like you cannot get, over, ahead of yourself and just write the Raiders off as a win, because the Chiefs have written a lot of teams off, not to make a Geno Smith pun, but they've written a lot of teams off and they've written back, because the Chiefs are 3-3 right now. Yeah. And I think that they need to win this game. I know that we talk about how this game means more for the Raiders, but at the same time, if the Chiefs fall to 3-4, all this positive momentum after beating the Lions, I mean, we're right back into thinking the season's over. So I think it's an important game for the Chiefs, but, you mentioned Geno Smith and some of the inconsistencies and the interceptions. He has not been able to take care of the football. What are your thoughts on the Raiders' offense going up against a Spags defense that hasn't been able to get to the quarterback, but the secondary and the linebackers have played pretty well?
I'll tell you right now, if you guys have not been able to get to the quarterback, this is your week to figure things out. This O-line has struggled mightily. It starts on the left side. Colton Miller is out for the year. Stone Forsythe is the worst tackle in football, and literally was rated, I believe, the worst tackle in football last season. It was funny that we have him and Kappa, the worst rated guard in football on this roster also. But we have just not been able to get the O-line rolling. I think Chicago was the week where it was like, okay, maybe things are starting to gel a little bit. Genty had a career game. JPJ was inserted back at right guard starting, and it looked a lot different. These past few weeks, Indianapolis, the O-line struggled. And then this past week against Tennessee, it wasn't any better. Genty was held under 100 yards on like 23 carries. I think he had 75 yards on the ground. So this would be the week to figure that out. Geno, he's doing either one or two things here. He's either, once he's snapping the football, he has two defenders in his lap immediately, or he's holding on to the football way too long and making stupid decisions and just gifting defenses interceptions. He leads the league right now with 10 of them. And I just don't see things changing. Geno has not shown me any signs of, getting any better. It seems as though he just keeps regressing. Against the Tennessee Titans, he threw a nasty, nasty pick. Didn't go through his progressions, just kind of stared his receiver down, and it was a gimme. And I don't think that things are going to change. Spags also, a lot of people tend to forget that we interviewed him for our head coaching spot. So he left without a job. I think Spags remembers that. There's a lot of moving parts in this game. I think Pete Carroll is definitely going to have his guys ready, because He hears all the Andy Reid talk. Pete Carroll was definitely a future Hall of Famer. He has struggled since he's been here. There's been a lot of questionable moves that Pete Carroll has made up to this point. But I'll say this: this would be the week for you guys to figure that out, because this O-line has not shown me anything worth thinking that they're going to get better against one of the better defenses in football. We have to get that ground game going, though. If we can do that, if we can exploit that ground game and get Genty rolling, I think that's the only way we can find a way to win this game.
What's funny you say that, because I have seen far too many times a game where the Chiefs should go up against an opponent that they're just better than and they don't dominate. So yeah, I'm actually holding out a little bit of hope for that Raiders offensive line. Like, I think you guys will be better than you think you'll be, but I also just don't really trust our pass rush outside of Chris Jones. But you mentioned Ashton Genty. Way too much hate from Raiders fans. I think the kid is phenomenal, and that offensive line has been so bad it has let him down. Yes. But he's someone like a Bijan Robinson, like a Jahmyr Gibbs. He's got that home run ability, and if you don't take it seriously, he can burn you. And the Chiefs have been burned a couple times, in the running game this year. But give me the rundown. Like, Brock Bowers is playing through injury. Are we going to see Michael Mayer? I mean, is this a game where, Trey Tucker, I guess Trey Tucker should play, but your other wide receiver, Jacoby Myers, like, what's the rundown on him at this stage?
Jacoby is on the way out. Honestly, I think that, with the trade deadline coming up here in a few weeks, there's been this whole situation where he wanted a new deal. We were at the bargaining table with him. He left without a deal. We just drafted Jack Besh in the second round out of TCU, and he has the same skill set as Jacoby Myers. I don't see them paying him and keeping him around. Honestly, this may be the last few weeks that Jacoby will be wearing the silver and black. And the effort, I think, is kind of shown on the football field these past few weeks in the blocking game and in other avenues. Trey Tucker has been a blessing in disguise for us. He's clear-cut Geno's number one option. He's been really, really good. It seems as though if you're getting in the end zone this year, it's Genty or it's Trey Tucker. Mayer had one this past week, and he will play this week. Come back from that concussion. He had 5 catches for 50 yards. He had a touchdown. He looked really, really good. Brock will definitely be out with that knee injury, that PCL injury, and I believe he has a bone bruise on top of it. They're finally making the right move with Brock and sitting him. I believe we'll see him after the bye week, take a couple weeks off, get right. The only way that you can get situated with that injury is rest. So I think we'll see him against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home after the bye week, after next week's bye week. So, but honestly, it seems as though the only guys that Geno are targeting at this point is Jacoby or Trey Tucker. So it kind of makes it easier on your defense. And he's staring these guys down. Jack Besh was open so much this past week, and he didn't target him. Michael Mayer, he was targeted 7 times, which was great. And I thank God that we finally get the chance to see our former second-round guy. He would be a number one in most places. Like,
definitely
honestly,
in Denver, I'll tell you that.
Honestly, with Kelsey gone, and this is, I love Michael Mayer. I'm a Notre Dame guy too, so I love him. He would be your number one if Kelsey wasn't around. Honestly, like, he is a really, really good football player. But you got to keep an eye on him. You definitely have to, keep eyes on him. But it starts with Genty, man. It starts with Genty. It starts with the run game. It starts with the O-line being able to block up front. And if we can't get the ground game going, they have to find a way to get Genty open in space. Whether it's, in the flats, if it's the screen game, which we haven't seen a ton, they need to get him rolling. They've been able to kind of find him in the passing game here these past few weeks, which is a great sign that they're just trying to utilize Genty anywhere they can. But it all starts with Genty to me, man. Like, honestly, I don't know how much time Geno's going to have to throw the football against this Spags defense. They blitz a ton. I think that they're going to have Geno rattled. And honestly, I do believe if he plays a perfect game, if he throws no picks, we could have a chance to win this football game. But he hasn't shown me any signs that that's who he is at this point. This is one of the better defenses that we're facing up to this point this year. And I don't think the turnovers are going to stop this week. I just truly don't.
This video is sponsored by my friends over at DM Injury Law. Injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation, but time is critical. Rely on the experienced personal injury attorneys at DM Law, Kansas City and Missouri's top injury law firm. DM Law is a full-service personal injury practice supported by a large team of investigators, case managers, medical records specialists, and more. And best of all, you don't pay unless they win. DM Law operates on a contingency fee basis, meaning no fees unless they win your case. And they also provide free consultations. So if you've been injured, don't wait. You can contact DM Law today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you pursue the compensation you deserve. Let them handle the fight while you focus on healing. Hurt in a car wreck? Call Mike. Remember, Mike's got this. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisement. Thanks to DM Injury Law for sponsoring this video.
Well, Graf, one of the reasons that I brought you on is because outside of your fantastic YouTube channel, you're a realist, and you're a realist of a Raiders fan, which I feel like there's more realists now because the Raiders have been so, for lack of a better term, a dumpster fire. And, it's no surprise that, the Chiefs are going to be favored in this game. Looking at one of the lines from BetMGM, they're 12.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
They're kind of expected to blow the Raiders out. But tell me what the Raiders have to do to win this game. And if they don't do these things, it could get ugly on Sunday.
I think there's a handful of things, honestly. I started off with the run game, and I'll stay there. It starts with the O-line up front. They have to be able to run block up front. They have to be able to give Genty some time, to find those gaps and make those home run type plays. It starts right there up front. The O-line, then it starts with the run game. Genty has to have a big Chicago Bears type game. That was his coming out party, so to speak, a few weeks back at Allegiant Stadium, which we lost in a heartbreaker. But the run game, Geno cannot have any turnovers, which is a very, very tall task. We just talked about that on our show here a second ago. He has to not even limit the turnovers, just zero. And that's a very, very tough ask for him because he's just gifting everybody picks up to this point. Also, on the defensive side of the ball, I think, with Rice coming back, Caillou Blue has been picked on all year long. This guy probably wouldn't start on most football teams in the NFL. I have no idea why Pete Carroll continues to start him on the boundary over his rookie Darian Porter. I think that it starts with them having a rotation at the cornerback position. Caillou can play, but get Porter involved, get DeCameron Richardson involved. Make sure there's a rotation at the cornerback position. And Stokes has to be that guy for us. Once again, he's a really good football player when he's healthy. And durability has been a problem for him for a long time. He missed last week with the knee injury. And in Green Bay, he missed a ton of football. But our bread and butter is the defensive line. It's the defensive line. Max Crosby, it all starts right there. We have not gotten anything out of Malcolm Kuntz on the opposite edge. He has been non-existent up to this point. But the great thing is the interior of that defensive line, a bunch of no-name guys, Jonah Lalu and Thomas Booker, who just came over from Philadelphia, Lucky Fotu, the veteran journeyman who really is a stout against the run. He got a sack this last week. It starts with the defensive line. I think if they can put a bunch of pressure on Mahomes and keep him honest, because Mahomes loves to get outside the pocket. It's kind of like a pick your poison. Like, you keep him in the pocket, it's scary. You let him out of the pocket, it's scary. But they got to get to him, and they got to get to him a lot. And I'm talking about putting Mahomes on the ground. I don't know how much that's going to happen this week. I believe was he sacked once this past week?
Yeah, he was sacked once.
Sacked once. So we have to triple that number. We have to get to him at least 3 times. And how's your O-line been performing these past few weeks?
They've actually, like the team, gotten better every week. Now, one thing I will say is that we don't know what's going on with Josh Simmons right now, and it's kind of seems like he's not going to play on Sunday. Now, I don't know that. I can't confirm that, but there's weird stuff going on. So, I mean, you're not going to have to face Simmons. It's going to be Jalen Moore. But Jalen Moore also looked pretty good against Aiden Hutchinson. Now, Max Crosby's a different level, but, I think the Chiefs are going to kind of have to figure some things out on that offensive line. But, you talk about things that you have to do in order to win. Tell me, one thing that if the Raiders do this, it's over. You don't even have to – I guess outside of turning the football over.
I was going to start there because it all starts with the head of the snake, which is Geno Smith. He's the head of the operation. But I'll say this. I'll keep it kind of in the same boat, but I'll say that Chip Kelly has to call the best game of his young career with the Raiders as the OC. He has to get creative, not so predictable. He has to be able to find, whether it's Mostert or Genty in space, and get these guys the football and allow them to make plays. Chip Kelly needs to he needs to call the best game of his career, honestly, this Sunday, because if we find a way, somehow, some way to beat you guys, it's a whole new breath of fresh air in Las Vegas, in Raider Nation as a whole, because you enter the bye week on a 2-game win streak, and you have some time to get ready for Jacksonville, who's kind of been coming back down to reality these past few weeks. You know, they just lost to Seattle, and you know, and Liam Cohen, and he's been doing really good out there. But coming off of a 2-game win streak and beating the Chiefs on the road, that would be massive for this young football team heading into the Jacksonville game at Allegiant Stadium. So Chip Kelly needs to call a great game, and yeah, man, that's how I got it.
Okay. Final question for you. What's the final score prediction?
I still believe you guys win by 2 scores. I think that the Raiders haven't shown me enough that they can go out there. If we get in a shootout, we're losing by 20, 30 points because Geno Smith has just not been able to not throw picks. So
it's like the Brees Hall quote. It's like, you know, other teams shoot themselves in the foot, we shoot ourselves in the head. Geno's
yeah. And the thing is that it's sad because our quarterback has actually lost us games. You know, that's the thing that sucks. That Charger game was manageable. We could have won that game. The Bears game was definitely a winnable game. We could be looking at a 4-2 team right now if Geno didn't, like you said, shoot his team in the head instead of the foot. So 31-20 Chiefs. Once again, I'm not going to put too much stock into this offense until they can show that they can be consistent week in and week out. And this is one of the better defenses that we faced this year. And Spags is a phenomenal defensive mind. Andy Reid seems as though he's getting back into that genius offensive bag. He got Rice coming back. This is going to be a tough task for this young football team to go out there and win. But 31-20 Chiefs. I think we keep it close until late in the game. I think we're down by 3, and Mahomes kind of puts the dagger out there with a touchdown.
I definitely think the Chiefs win. I think they win by double digits, but I think that if we see Harrison Butker continue to struggle and the Chiefs kind of revert to what they were to start the season and commit a bunch of penalties and turn the football over, you know, the Raiders are right back in this game. In the NFL, you cannot give even, no offense, some of the worst teams opportunities to win because they're going to do it. They're in the NFL for a reason. And so I do think it should be a good game, should be a fun game because it's a divisional game, and they're always fun. So I know we're both very much so looking forward to it. Where can the people find your stuff?
OLV, Raiders Network on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitter, at Graphic Raider, and on Instagram, Graphic916. But majority of the time, you'll catch me live every single day on my YouTube channel at OLV Raiders Network.
And guys, all of his stuff will be linked in the description of this video. We also do the AFC West Roundup mostly every week where we get a little bit, I don't even know what the term to use is, a little more unprofessional, a little bit more loose. Things get said that I hope my day job does not find out about. But no, we definitely have a fun time on there. And Graf is actually going on Cole. How about those Chiefs channel? He knows what he's talking about. The most reliable Raiders fan. Go sub him up. It'll all be linked in the description of this video. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more Daily Chiefs content. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.
Raiders.
I'll allow it.